So we are getting really close to the film, to M. Night Shyamalan's new film Glass, which is obviously the final film of the Unbreakable trilogy. I thought this is a perfect chance for me to talk about the two films Unbreakable and Glass. So let's start with Unbreakable. I have waited for quite a while for this. This is directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and this stars Bruce Willis as David Dunn, who is involved in a tragic train accident which kills all passengers except for himself. He is the only sole survivor in the train, and according to Samuel Jackson's character Elijah, who is a self-processed comic book fan, David Dunn is holding these supernatural powers, which makes him an unknown superhero. Now, I must admit, guys, I just only recently watched this film, and I admit that I saw Split first before watching this film, which makes me just very upset, actually. It's one of the things that I really do regret, actually, and I was very annoyed, and I felt ashamed. I really did, because obviously after watching Split, it sort of gave away the whole surprise. I didn't really feel much of the surprise, but let's move past that. Having said all this, this is indeed one of the most underrated films. This is one of the most interesting films ever made. And whereas I loved Sixth Sense, this is M. Night Shyamalan's masterpiece. Shyamalan really did think about this film, the characters and what they convey and what they are obsessed with, and especially the shots of the film. Oh my goodness, the cinematography, it just feels so old school to me. I love how smooth all of the shots were. This film takes its time with its shots. It makes you feel the entire world around you, not just abrupt close-ups. Everything is so smooth. There is just one take. It takes one take for the first scene, and you learn all about David Dunn's character. The film takes place before even the whole entire recognition and the popularity of superhero genre. And obviously, before this, we had Batman and we had Superman. And whereas these are very popular superheroes, it didn't exactly establish. There wasn't exactly a massive establishment of superhero film genre. There was just, oh, there's some superheroes there, made from comic books, we'll leave it at that. And it was quite, I wouldn't say easy, obviously, but it was quite straightforward to put it on the big screen. And I am one of those people who have obviously seen many reviews on YouTube, online, and I see all these people, these critics who have obviously grown up watching films like this, which makes them appreciate them even more. I am the exact opposite. I am growing up in a generation where superhero films are the biggest thing in the film industry. It's Marvel, it's just Marvel all along. And I grew up watching films like Spider-Man, Avengers, Iron Man, Batman. But at the same time, as a film lover myself, seeing this film made by a very smart filmmaker in Shyamalan is fantastic. And the best thing about it is this film was made almost 19 years ago. And if you ask me, that is genius, because that is before all this popularity even began. And for me, growing up in this generation where all of this is happening, for me to go back and actually watch this 19-year-old film, it makes me appreciate it even more. It makes me love this film even more than others do. Because this is what I want to see as a film geek. Bruce Willis is spectacular in this film. He is such a dramatic character. David Dunn is such a dramatic character, and Willis plays it masterfully. You see so much story behind his eyes. He is so affected by past events, including that accident that made him quit playing football. He realizes that he is not there for his son, his wife. There is so much tension between his son and his wife. There is just so much pain behind his eyes. But let's talk about Samuel Jackson. This man is absolutely awesome. Aside from the entire plot twist that happens in the end, which I will get to, Elijah has a real-life disease, but at the same time that makes him even more interesting as a character. He is one of the most fascinating characters I have ever seen on screen. He is a very delusional but a very passionate person who stands for what he believes in, and you accept that and you respect that. And at the same time, you do feel quite sympathetic, but at the same time, you do understand where he is coming from. But just to see these two characters, these two main characters interact on screen, there is so much tension, and yet the plot can be vague at this point, but yet you enjoy these two characters interacting. That is just okay, and you accept that, and you just enjoy the ride. This film is so original and different that it's hard to believe that this really is a superhero film. Some call it a psychological supernatural thriller, which I personally and honestly would call it, and I just forget the fact that this really is a superhero film. And it's not really marketed as that, because many people would say this is like Superman, who doesn't actually know that he is Superman, or a superhero who doesn't really know that he is actually a superhero, if you know what I mean. It's a superhero thriller, and I actually let that sink in, and I love how genius that is. Like, who makes that? It's just M. Night Shyamalan, and for it to be classified as a superhero film, this really is one of the best superhero films I've ever seen. But let's talk about the music. James Newton Howard, oh my goodness, you are a genius. The ending scene where Dunn is trying to stop the men, it is one of the most impactful scores I have ever heard. The same score that I heard in Split, whereas I really do wish I heard them exact opposite, obviously, because I heard the score the first time in Split before hearing it in this film. So, God, that really hurts. That still really... But this is really the reason why I love listening to scores, because they have that massive impact on you that makes you, and that reminds you of the film that you just watched. And this will always stick by me because of how much effect that it had on me while watching this film. But let's talk about the iconic ending, and I'm saying the word iconic. Elijah was the man behind all these tragedies and disasters. He is the man who actually did those. He killed all those innocent people just to track down if there was that one person in the end who survived and who was a sole survivor, and he succeeded because now we have our very own superhero. But whereas some people call this ending not very impactful, I don't know what they're talking about, because I think this is one of the most, this is probably one of the best twists that I have seen on screen. And the thing is, you need a villain in a film, and it was Elijah all along. I understand people may have some problems with this, but at the same time, if you watch this again, if you have multiple viewings required for this film, it does make sense. It all makes sense, and I think this ending works in every way possible. And yes, it is so shocking to see this in front of your eyes, and once again, the music, it makes it even more haunting and shocking, but at the same time, it's just so terrifying and uncomfortable to see this, but yet I still couldn't take my eyes off the screen because it was such a iconic revelation that we all saw. I wish that I could see this film earlier, but it is what it is. All I know, the most important thing is that I absolutely adore this film. I feel like it is a masterpiece. I have to get a poster somewhere. I really want one. I love this film. I think it's a fantastic film. I think it's M. Night Shyamalan's masterpiece, and I do think it's better than Sixth Sense. That's an arguable thing. Let's talk about that in the comments below. I give this a perfect 5 out of 5 score. I think it's genius, and what do you guys think about it? Let's get excited for Glass. Next review should be Split, and I'm very excited to talk about that. That's a very, very good one from last year. Thank you for watching.